Shalom, shalom. We are live. I was looking to see if I had one of the fire starters close by, but I don't. All right. Hopefully, I can get somebody to join me over here on this one here. Stuff hits the fan. Have you thought about this? No, I'm in there and I'm doing laundry. I'm folding up sheets and such, sheets and towels and such. Shalom, shalom, evening beginnings. I'm in there and I'm doing some of my household chores, right? How are you this afternoon, sweet Eve? But while I'm doing the chores, I'm in there thinking about situations that we might face when the stuff hits the fan to the point where we don't have electricity, we don't have uh, the ability to use running water anymore. We don't have the ability to use like our facilities for our personal use, the toilet and such. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about it. Um, and just a thought about the water system, let's put it that way. So if we lose electricity, you guys know what happens, right? If we lose electricity, the water pumps are run by electricity. So we would lose that functionality, uh, uh, the pumps generating the water to come into our homes. We would lose that eventually, right? And so I'm thinking about it. And what happens with that? Okay. You're going to have folks, if they remain in their homes, you're going to have folks that will continue to try to use their toilets the old fashioned, I mean, the way that they've been doing it, the way that they've become accustomed to using it, and praying that they can just continue to flush it down. And they would be able to do that if they had like extra water. Um, if you use that extra water, put it, pour it down the tank, you can flush your toilet that way. And in some cases, if you poured it down the actual toilet, you might be able to flush it that way as well. But for how long? Right? For how long? For as long as you have some water that you can use to flush, you'll have that. But then I got to thinking, okay, I'm one of those people. I did watch the Walking Dead, right? And I remember during watching that show, there were folks that would go, they were traveling, and especially early on they were traveling, and then midway through the show they were traveling from one location to another location, and they were trying to find some place safe that they could go to. But what I'm remembering is them going from town to town, or neighborhood to neighborhood, and them going in houses. Here's something I never thought about. Okay, so that's why I came up with the title. Have you thought about this? Because if the water systems aren't working, we know before those people abandon their homes, whether to become zombies or to look for a safe place to go to, we know that they were still using those toilets the normal way, right? What I hadn't thought about was this. When the system is turned or is no longer functioning, the possibility of that sewage stuff coming in to the homes, the fumes, all of that, because it's not being flushed through. It's not being flushed through. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I hadn't thought about that. I can imagine if you go into some of those homes that have been abandoned, that those toilets have been the stuff, the junk from those toilets have come up into those houses if they didn't block those valves off. If they didn't block those pipes off, shut those pipes down and block them off, that stuff's going to come through. And it would come through even if there were people still in the neighborhood and they were still using and flushing that stuff through is a possibility that they could cause, depending on your location from them, if you're downhill from them, they could cause your bathroom, your toilet to back up because they're not doing things the proper way, right? To use the toilet. So they can have that stuff come in your place that way. So think about that. when we watch the Walking Dead, everything is all neatly done for us. We see it, and uh, I never saw anybody go into a house and hold their nose because of the stench, whether it be from dead bodies. Sometimes they would do it from the dead bodies, but whether it be from the folks who went beyond being a zombie, unalived, uh, but you never did because of the like the because of the toilet, if you will. The smell's coming from a toilet, right? But that's something that we need to think about. It's not going to be all rosy and oh, it's just an abandoned house. We'll just go in and see if they have any canned goods, and we'll see if they have it, and we'll use their shower, and we'll use this. If we don't have running water, you can't do all those things. You won't be able to do all those things. And chances are a lot of those homes will have backed up sewage in the house, okay? And have those houses smelling horrible. Yeah, they will eventually get clogged. And but here's the problem with that, sweet Eve. Not everybody is ready for stuff hits the fan. Not everybody knows that when um, electricity goes out to do certain things. Not everybody knows that. To keep, like you said, the grocery bags. That's great. Okay, that's great. Put those in the toilet, and that's what you use, right? And then you dispose of them. Dig dig a hole in the backyard somewhere away from the house and away from where your animals could get to it, and you dispose of that stuff. And you can treat the liquid stuff different than the other. Okay, you can treat it differently and in different ways. And there are products that you can buy that will help you to eliminate the odor and eliminate the problem, if you will. Okay, so there are things that you can use. Now you can use sand is one. You can if you've got extra kitty litter on hand, you can use that as well. Okay, but you don't want to put that in the toilet, and they would need to know these things because we know common sense is not common, right? Common sense is not common. Oh my goodness. The other thing, it's good to see you, Lakeisha. It's good to see you. You know what is weird? I'm doing this live, and I know that this channel doesn't have a whole lot of people on it as subscribers, but I'm doing the live with you guys. There's two of you here. No, I take that back. There's three of you here. Shalom, shalom, Pamela. It's good to see you. And you know what? On the screen, it's only showing one. Oh, wait, it just changed to two. Okay. So that how YouTube does this is just really, really weird. It really is. So anyhow, have you thought about this? Here's another one that I thought about. Now that was just like if you don't have access to electricity. Have you thought about this? Have you thought what would be an indication to you? Okay. How would you know, family? How would you know that we've had an EMP strike? Would you know? Do you know some of the things to look for? Do you know some of the things to look for? How would you know that that's what happened and that you need to prepare for other things coming down the road? How would you know? I think I said this before on my other channel, on the other channel, but I think it's going to take a minute for most people to realize something bad is going down right at that moment. I think it's going to take a while before it actually hits people because um, we've had electricity go out with the expectation that it'll only be out for maybe a few hours uh, or just a few days, but no longer than that. And so what we do is we sit by calmly, if you will. For the most part, we're not in too much of a panic because we have expectations that those that run the the power will make sure that it comes back on. If the water, stops functioning, those who run those um, uh, plants will make sure that that gets back on. So we have this expectation in this country, at least, that those things will return to us. But what if they're not going to return to us? How would we know that this is it? Okay, one way is Pamela saying one way, my beautiful sis, is that cars don't work. And it would be the newer cars, the new ones that run with that are use the that have the computer networks, electronics all running through them. Okay. And Eve, you say electricity will be out, and so will the phones, cell phones. Um, Family, I heard this one and I was like, okay, that's a good idea. Cell phones, if they have not been put in a Faraday cage and we have an EMP strike, they're the folks who know more about this stuff than I do say that if the phones have not been um, in a Faraday cage type of a setup, that those phones will go black. So if you have had your phones protected, it shouldn't be the case. At least they're saying it shouldn't be the case. I don't think we'll know until we know. Until we're actually in the midst of an EMP, even those that have the Faraday cages. And actually, I bought the Faraday bags, but I was thinking about the Faraday bag. Right now, my Faraday bags are empty. I don't have anything in them, and so I'm thinking, in order to ensure that all of my electronics are safe, I would have to make sure that those products, those items, are in those bags before an attack, an EMP strike. What are the chances that you will have your items in a Faraday cage expecting that EMP strike? So it is almost one of those things because I use my phone, I use my tablet on a regular basis. The only time I'm, for the most part, not using it is if I plug it in to um, to charge it up overnight. That it's a good. I don't think anybody really and truly knows. I think that they're going on a hope and a prayer because we haven't experienced one yet. We haven't experienced an all-out EMP strike. This is just me. Now I'm no expert on this, but this is just me saying this. I don't think anybody really and truly knows, Lakeisha. You said, will those cages help if the entire system is down? Good question. Good question. I don't know that anybody really and truly knows. But we are doing everything that we can to for a possibility of surviving. And if it's a possibility that we can save some of our electronics, that's why we purchase things like that because we listen to those that are um, said to be experts in this area, and we do what they say that they're doing. So what did I do? I got me some Faraday bags. But again, when do I put my electronics in it? When will we get hit? Do we know? So it's one of those things that you have to plan it, if you will. You have to plan it. The only time, like I said, that my tablet especially gets downtime, I use that all the time, is generally when I'm here on the desktop because that's what I'm doing this recording this video on live on my desktop. So I'm not using my tablet or when I'm charging it while I sleep. I put it on the charger while I sleep, when I sleep. Now, I don't think it's possible for me to put it on the charger and put it in the Faraday cage at the same time. So when do I plan to put it in there? So I guess what I need to do is come up with a system that anytime I'm not using it, it goes in the bag. Period. They go in the bag. Period. But the chances are very high that if we have an EMP strike, chances are very high that my equipment would be uh, open or not covered with a Faraday bag. Okay. Yes, don't take anything out. You don't take anything out, Pamela. If we have a strike, leave it there. Leave it there. If you have to go 2 days, leaving it there, leave it there, just to make sure that something else won't go down. In the event that these Faraday cages really cover and protect your items, 2 days is not too long. Some would probably say less than that, but I'm saying at least 2 days to make sure nothing else goes down, and then take them out, see what's going on. Okay, yeah, you don't take them out right away. That's a good one. But here's another thing. Have you thought about this? Okay, for all of you who have children, for the little ones to teenagers, the adult ones, you kind of hope that they can kind of fend for themselves for the most part, right? But the young ones up to teenage years, if an event occurs and you are all separated, okay, you are all separated. Let's say your children, children are at school. Have you thought about this? Have you talked to them to tell them to prepare prepare their minds for an event that would alter their way of living? They're used to doing things a certain way. They come home from school, maybe they do their homework, and then you allow them a little bit of television time. Okay, normal routine. They eat it. They can eat a snack, go to the fridge and do this and do that. We don't have electricity. They can't just. You don't want them to just go and open up the refrigerator. You don't want them to go and open up the freezer. The longer you can keep those two doors closed when you do not have electricity, the longer your food will last. Okay, not spoil. And do they know this? Have you talked to your children? That's the question. Have you talked to your children when an event occurs at school? Have you told them? You know how we do the stranger danger thing with kids? We let them know not to talk to strangers and things like that. We also need to let the kids know, even with people that they know, to not talk to them about the plans you and your family have to stay safe. That's a family thing. Not to invite your friends over. Oh, you come over to my house. Mom and dad have a plan put together, and we've got food stored up, and teacher, you can come too, and we've got ways to stay safe. Folks need to talk to their kids and prepare their kids so that they're not out there blabbing to the world what mom and dad are doing in the event of stuff hits the fan situation, so that the family, can survive. Have you thought about that? Okay, good. Pamela says, yes, I'm raising my 14-year-old granddaughter, and we have these conversations frequently. You know what? She is like 50 steps ahead of most 14-year-olds. Okay. She's like 50 steps ahead of most 14-year-olds because you're talking to her. So if something goes down, she knows she's on board. She's on board. Yeah. Have you talked to them also? So that's good, Pamela. Also about the importance of quiet and silence. And people don't often think about this, but there are critical times that we all in a situation will need to remain quiet or remain silent. And it could mean saving your lives. You need to talk to your children about that, to know when they can speak and to know when they should be quiet. Okay? You're 15-year-old, but not your 7-year-old. Okay? I teach him prayer. though, and to go to the Yahuwah if they're scared. That's good. That was Lakeisha that said that. Yes, ma'am, my children are being homeschooled since 2020, but my adult daughter that works, she knows to get closer to the door while I drive over to pick her up. That's Eve New Beginnings. Yes. So we need to prepare our children. Here's another thing, I'm kind of skipping all around, but these are things I'm telling you. I'm in there folding up laundry, and these are things that were coming to my head. I'm sitting there thinking, hmm, how about this? Along with the water system's not working, electricity is out, so we don't have electricity. Can't really go to the bathroom facilities like we used to or normally would. Well, you know what that's going to do? And if we're eating our foods and there are smells now that will attract animals and insects and things like that. Now the question is, you know how to deal with those pests that might come or be part of the picture now because of uh, the smells, and how you're going to try to develop a sanitation type of a system, especially if you dig in the backyard. And remember I said make sure it's away from the house, far enough away from the house, but it could attract rats and roaches and all kinds of different types of things, right? That's something else I'm wondering if people have considered and are prepping in order to take care of a situation like that. Have you thought about that one? And what you would do, right? That's right. With the kids, no, I told you I'm bouncing backwards and forwards. Um, I like that Pamela said, teach the kids how to sit still. That's right. Sit still as well. And I'm gonna tell you, remember I told you guys about, and then I'll get back on the other, but remember, this is the idea, the viewpoint of teaching your kids to be quiet and teaching your kids to sit still, to be still. Okay. When the situation calls for it. Okay. That's very, very true, Pamela. Okay. That's very, very true. So in one of the visions that I had, the the beast system had already been in place. Okay, it was already in place, and believers were running, running to safe places that they could go to. And in this particular vision, it was almost like this was like the last step of the journey. That's the way it felt. It felt like this was we'd made it. Okay, we weren't completely safe, but it felt like we had made it. We'd made it to that last place before we were going to be picked up. Okay, we were going to be completely at this point rescued to truly get to that safe place. And remember, I was telling you guys, it was this place was huge. I heard another person give a explain in their vision what they were seeing, but they called theirs a stadium or gymnasium. That's not where we were at, but it was huge. But they were pretty much saying some of the same things. Excuse me, family. See, take a peek outside. You know what, family? Can I put you on hold for just a second? I have someone at my front door. All right, so I'll be right back. All right. Oh, you got it. Yeah. Eli, right? Eli, and you're going to look into the trash. Thank you. All right. And textbook issues. All right. Sorry about that, family. You still there? Had someone at my door. Oh, so Pamela says I got tons of boric acid to get rid of. Well, is that used to disintegrate, eat away at, or is that for the smell, or is it for both? And we're talking about waste elimination, right? Is that yes, ma'am, for both, or one or the other? Let me know. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? You guys still here? Okay, you were typing. Pamela says it helps to eliminate the odor from the waste, but it also kills roaches. All right, that's good to know. That is good to know. But also, so I was saying about the being still, the kids being still, because I was talking about in my vision how this big hangar where you think a lot of planes would be, and I'm talking about the big major planes that we see. Several of them could have fit in this hangar. Several of those large scale airplanes could have fit in this hangar, but there were no airplanes in there. It was just people, and they weren't sitting, they were all standing. Everybody was standing, and we were standing in that place shoulder to shoulder. The place was huge and the place was packed. Far as the eye could see, you saw heads and shoulder. They were standing. We were all standing shoulder to shoulder. We were towards the front. I was towards the front, but you could see dimly. You could see dimly because there was no light in there. So I don't even know how we were able to see dimly, but we were. There was no light in there, but I could see the shadows. I could see the heads of the people. I could see back behind me. And I knew that this massive building was filled with souls, with the Father's children. And we were all there for the same reason. Okay. We were running, we were in hiding, and we were also understanding that in any moment we might be, found out. And so in that room was a stillness. There was a stillness, and there were children in there. There were children in there, and I can only think that the children had been through so much trauma up to that point that they knew to be still. They knew to be silent because you didn't hear a peep, you didn't hear a sound. All of those humans in that room and everybody knew to be quiet as we were waiting. And it was like I said, it was, we were waiting in the dark, but it was something that we all knew. It was a matter of life or death. We all knew to be silent, including the kids. And how I know that there were kids in there is right next to me was a little one that was about 3 or 4 years old, a little boy. I don't know who this little boy was, but this little boy was up front. And there was, I don't know why, but there was a ladder, the ladders that are shaped like the letter A. There was a ladder, step ladder, and he was on that step ladder towards the top. It wasn't a real tall one because he wasn't that high over my shoulders, but it wasn't a real tall one. And he was on that ladder towards the top, and he was just standing there. He was just standing there, and before you know it, he made the announcement that they're here. Our rescuers had come for us. They're here, and you can sense the excitement going from the the sense of I want to say, I don't want to really call it fear, but care. All of us being so very very careful to a feeling of joy because we knew that this was it. We were safe. This would be the next leg of the journey. And to get to that point, we knew we were safe at that point in time. Okay. But it is very important to teach the kids to not only know when to be silent, but just like Pamela said, it was you, Pamela, wasn't it? Yeah, sit still, to be able to sit still. So it was just, like I said, just some of the things that I was sitting up. I mean, do you guys do that? Eve, Lakeisha, Pamela, do you guys often sit down and just think, well, if this happens, how would I manage? How would we do this? You know, how would we carry on with this? You know, you often think like that because I do. I do. And so I'm sitting in there and I'm like, you know what? I wonder if anybody else has thought about this. And then if you have a plan for you and the kids, um, and you know what? I talk about the EMP because we've been experiencing some of these hacks lately. Okay. And they said China has really been intensifying hacking our infrastructure and such. Okay. China's been really doing a number on us. I think it goes hand in hand with the soldiers that are here. I think, but I don't think it would, one would stop them from doing the other. Meaning they could hack without activating the soldiers. All right. One doesn't have to happen together. They can, but one is not dependent on the other. Okay. So they could hack us at any time. I think that they have pretty much proved that they could do that. They could hit us with an EMP strike. That could happen. I don't doubt it. And I got another one, another video. I almost came back onto the other channel, the This Is Me, Mary C, a little while ago because after I did one already over there, and I'm thinking, you know what? I need to talk to you guys about food again. I need to talk to the folks over on the other channel about the food because they got another way to feed us, family, and it's madness. The whole thing is just madness. And so you brainstorm. Pamela says she brainstorms a lot when it comes to stuff hits the fan, right? And then Eve says, "Yes, I do a lot, especially with multiple children. Yeah, you're constantly trying to think, how can I get this information over to them so that they understand it, and then when we have to put it into play and exercise these things." are they going to be okay with you know living it? Because that's pretty much what we would be doing, living it. Just like the Father told me, Pamela says, told me to use closest door to to use closet doors to close the window as accessible openings. Hmm. And then here's something else. Did you ever think about this? And I was asking you, how would you know that we've had an EMP strike? It will take a while. I think those of us who think stuff hits the fan. If that's something that is with you always, which it's with me quite often. I go out to the stores, I go out to the restaurant. I'm constantly looking at my environment. So I'm thinking a lot about stuff hits the door or stuff hits the door. I saw door here in the chat. Stuff hits the fan. Often I think like that, right? You said closet doors. I thought that just that's what you meant. Closet doors. Pamela says closet doors. My phone is off. We got you. We got you, sis. But anyhow, so if we are of the mindset of stuff hitting the fan, then we do things thinking, what if this is it? Okay. What if this is it? So you're gonna have those folks when the EMP hits, you know, you're going to have those folks that are not going to have a clue. They're not going to know what happened. They're going to expect, oh, the internet went down again. What are they expecting? For it to come back up? They might sit there for a few hours. They may sit there for 2 days, still expecting it to come back up. But we know to look for certain things. If the phone goes black and doesn't come back on, there's something wrong. There's an issue with that, right? If you go out and you try to start your car and you've got a one of the newer cars and the car won't start, this is another indication that something has happened that you need to really pay attention to. If you happen to glance outside, look down the street, and you see cars that are stalled or stopped on the streets, and folks are getting out of their cars trying to figure out what's going on, that's another indication. All right. You are ahead of the game, if you will. You know at this point that if you don't need to run out for stuff um, to be out amongst the masses, you know not to. If you do have a vehicle that is functioning, if you do have a vehicle that's functioning, don't go out and get in it because you make yourself a target because other folks' cars are not working, right? So you don't want to do anything that's going to draw attention to you. If the electricity is out after, because of a EMP, initially it's probably okay to put something on the grill because other folks are going to be doing stuff too and finding ways to eat. That, if it's warm enough or if you can put something on the grill, that's probably not going to be a big deal like the first few days. Thereafter, it could be a problem. So then you need to limit what you're doing outside where other people can see what you're doing. Okay. So, one of those things also, have you thought about this? How do you manage your food? Okay. No electricity, and it's not coming back for some time if it ever does. How do you manage your food? Excuse me. Let's say you've got a stockpile of food. You've got things in the fridge, you got things in the freezer, you got things in the pantry. How do you manage your food? What do you go through first? Shalom, shalom, Miriam Yavs, Bethany, and Angela Dixon. It's good to see you guys. What do you and your family use first? Driving and listening. Okay, that's good. What will you use first? So the rule of thumb is to go through the items that would perish faster. Okay, use those up. Eat those up first. So if you have an EMP that strikes and your electricity is out and you are wise enough to know that that's what's going on, all right, you're wise enough to know that that's what's going on. Um, Don't touch your canned goods. Leave them be. Leave them be. And if you have to open the refrigerator, get out as much as you possibly can out of the refrigerator at one time that you can prepare for your family to eat. Okay, but try to avoid opening and closing the refrigerator door or the freezer door as much as possible, because your food will last longer if that cold remains inside. Okay. Once you have gotten to the point where you have eliminated most of the perishable items, then begin to go into your stash of canned goods or your um, items that don't really need to be prepped or cooked. Okay, okay. And then the other thing is, you might find yourself limited as to how often or when. No, I'm not going to say how often. How can I put this? You might be limited. So when you do get to the point where you're trying to cook, you don't want to be cooking. Let's say that this event takes place and you're now 2 weeks into it. You better not be out there in the backyard grilling anything. 2 weeks into this EMP attack. Okay, you better not be, because your neighbors are going to smell that you've put something on the grill, right? Folks that are going to be around, they're going to know what you're up to. And remember what I said, you don't want to draw attention. So if you can put something on the grill, then you must have a way to preserve food. Well, not only that, you must have food to preserve. You might have something that they think they need or want. So you're going to have to kind of be careful with what you're doing. Okay, what you're doing in the event that something like that happens. You don't want them to know what's going on. And if your neighbors are still, around you, uh, you know, if you happen to be outside and they're talking, I said this beforehand, you got to be slick, family. You gotta be on your P's and Q's. If they're out there and they're saying, man, I tried to walk over to Walmart the other day because we don't have any bottled water anymore, and I tried to and Walmart is crazy. There's nothing on the shelves anymore, and I don't know what we're gonna do. What do you think? I don't know what we're gonna do for water. Well, guess what? You should be saying. You should be saying the same thing. Oh man, we're going to have to come up with another source. We have to find some more places that we can go and see if we can hunt up water. You don't want them to know you got water in your pantry, because if you got water in your pantry, the first thing they're going to do is, oh, can you share with us? And you can be as generous as you like to be up until you cannot provide for your family. Okay. You can be as generous as you like to be until you get to the point where you only have enough for your family. And I don't know if you want to put yourself in that type of position, because once they come to you for help once, they're going to keep coming to you for help. So you don't want them to know what you have. And again, you have to talk to your children, because you don't want them going down the street blabbing to Tom, Dick, and Harry. Well, we have water. You guys don't have water. We have water. We have like a ton of it in our pantry. It's just stacked up. Okay. Uh, so I mean, these are things that I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I have thought about these things. Pamela, what are you saying? You say, I don't know what we're going to do when we get thirsty now. And we also need to look at alternative things. That's right. They may show up friendly the first time, the second time, and possibly the third time. But people don't like no when they're desperate. You tell them no, Pamela, I think you're saying it right here. The more desperate they become, the more they'll show up with weapons. I believe that. I believe that. All right. So, family, it's just another way for me to help you to prepare, to think about some things, because I don't know that we always care. We always cover what to do with the kids. Talk to your kids. If we can talk to the kids and tell them that there's stranger danger going on, we can talk to the kids and tell them that they need to prepare for the hard times that are ahead of us. That it's quite possible that we're going to war. It's not, I'm saying quite possible because we're talking about kids, but we will go to war. We're already at war. Okay. But to kind of tell it to them lightly so that they are aware, and that they are aware of some of the things that can occur and what they need to do. In the event that this happens, mom and daddy need you to not talk about what we're doing to anyone else. Okay. This is how we keep each other safe, and I think that's something that all parents at this point in time need to be doing with their children. We're at the end. Things are only going to get worse, and the kids are going to see it. They're going to be a part of it. There's no way to avoid it. The kids are here. If they're here, they're going to experience a lot of what's going to go on. We're not going to be able to keep them from knowing a lot of the truth that is going to happen. We can shelter them from some of the worst parts of it that they don't need to see, but the hardships, they'll be able to see it because they're going to feel it. Okay? That's right. We're going to be in the same boat that they're in, right? I thought that's what you were saying. They run into Walmart and they come back and say they can't. They don't know. Walmart is, the shelves are empty and they don't know where they're going to get their water from. Yeah, that's when you side with them and say, you know what, we got to put our heads together because we got to figure out something. We got to figure out something. Where are we going to go? What should we do? Okay. They don't have something, you don't either. Unless you're of the in the mood to be generous. But again, when stuff like that happens, how generous, when do you draw the line, and how generous are you willing to be? Once people know what you have, they're going to continue to come to you because they know it's there. And who knows, they could bring someone else with them to help them to take what you have. Okay. And that's all I had, family. If you have anything that you want to add to the chat by saying, that I haven't said, if you know something that you thought about during your time of folding laundry, like me, and you want to share it in the chat section, that's fine. I know I'm a little on the different side. I'm in there doing laundry, and these are the thoughts that come to my head. Okay. These are the things that just pop in my head. And I'm going to keep this. It's going almost an hour. It's 49 minutes. So if you guys don't have anything else, that's pretty much all I had for today. I'm going to probably tomorrow, if I get an opportunity, I probably will do another video live tomorrow, not on this channel, but on This Is Me, Mary C. And I'm going to talk about the food. Okay, I'm going to talk about food, future food, if you will. All right. So shalom, family. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate all your input. I appreciate it. Peace and blessings to you all. Shalom.